Okay, she's gonna come back.
Okay, good evening. We have no items for closed session. Time being 7 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order. First, we have the traditional territory acknowledgement, followed by a moment of silence. Council, the Township of Red Rock hereby acknowledges that we are on the traditional territory of the Robinson Superior Treaty and that the land we gather on is home to the Red Rock Indian Band, the Nishnawbek, and the Métis people. Okay, administration advises that there's an amendment to the agenda, removing the report from the fire chief. And that's back. Do we have any members of council wishing to make amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, can I have a mover and seconder for motion to approve the agenda as amended? Councillor Muir, Councillor McDonald. All in favor? Arms rising, motion is carried. Are there any declarations of interest to disclose? Seeing none. Okay, tonight we have Joanna from Ontario Clean Water Agency here to present the first quarterly report on the water and wastewater treatment, as well as the MECP annual inspection report. So glad we got our technical issues figured out and you're back.
I'm back. Good evening, Your Worship, Council. Thank you very much for the delegation this evening. Patrick Albert is away. He got called away on an operational emergency. So you're stuck with just me this evening. I don't know if I'm able to share my screen. I don't need to if you're comfortable with me not doing that. I believe you have the latest quarterly report and the inspection report in your council packages. So
yes, we do.
Okay, perfect. So then what I'll do is I'll just speak to them both, and if that's all right with you, and we'll start with the quarterly operations report. So if you go to the first page, page 2 of the report, here is where we will report on the flows for both water and wastewater. The treated flows. The reason that we provide this information to you is to build knowledge on the capacity levels for both systems. The water treatment facility has a rated capacity of 2,700 cubic meters per day. And as you can see in the table that's provided, the daily average flow as well as the maximum flow per day is quite a bit lower than the capacity of your facility. So you've got lots of room there. And then on the wastewater side, you have a rated capacity of 900 cubic meters per day and a peak hourly flow rate of 5,000 cubic meters per day, which is an interesting metric to have in NECA. It's a little bit different than what we've seen in the past, but this would account for any adverse or one-off type situations like an overflow. And as you can see again in the column, the daily average effluent and the maximum effluent, that you're well within the capacity of your wastewater system for flows. Both systems operated, both water and wastewater operated without interruption in the first quarter. On page 3, we highlight different compliance type items. So all sampling was taken as per the regulatory requirements and within the proper timelines. There were no health and safety related concerns or incidents. Aqua did work with the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks on the township's behalf for the latest municipal drinking water license renewal, and specifically that the final one has been received. There were no community complaints noted during Q1 of this year. We had 4 operational callouts, and they're listed here. Nothing out of the ordinary. The overall responsible operator, this is something that we just like to note. communication has been very good between the township and Aqua with respect to responsibilities that fall within this parameter. It's key to a safe drinking water system, so that's good. And then under the capital category, so the capital lists are submitted in the previous year, late in the year. They're reviewed and discussed and then presented. And as items are approved on the capital list, then Aqua undertakes the projects on your behalf. Right now, it looks like they're looking into getting pricing on a new turbidity meter to replace the treated one that's now been deemed obsolete and is not functioning properly. And then on the last page, we like to highlight the levels of certification that the operations staff have, just to keep you informed as to where they're at. So these are all of the different people in the list that would be operating your facility. Are there any questions about operations? Pat has filled me in on what's been going on currently. So if you do have questions, I'm happy to answer. And if it's not something that I can answer this evening, I can certainly reach out for that information and get back to you.
Councillor Tedesco.
Joanna, welcome back. I noticed in the alarms and callouts, most of the matters that are there are involving some failures or something of the effect in the water system. Is this a bit of a clarion call that maybe our water system needs to be looked at, maybe a capital project to be considered sooner rather than later?
Well, I mean, some of the items, so the low pH alarm was due to a tripped relay. That's an electrical thing that can kind of happen. You know, the low water tower levels, those things will sometimes happen. And sometimes alarms or callouts are there as a mitigating factor so that you don't get to the point where you're sort of out of compliance. So it's a reaction that the operators can go in and sort of mitigate the situation. But with our computerized maintenance management system that we have, it's called Maximo. What the operations staff do if they get a call out or they're completing a work order for something, you know, a maintenance, they will create a corrective work order after if it is a result. So for example, if we're getting repetitive call outs for a situation or an incident, then that's what will prompt the discussion with the township that, you know, if we make an investment in this ABC, it will result in more efficient operations, you know, a reduction in the amount of call outs and whatnot. So certainly we would bring those to your attention if that's what we were seeing. I hope that answers your question, Councillor.
Any other questions? No, seeing none. Can I have a mover and seconder for motion to accept the first quarterly report from Aqua? Councillor Tedesco. Councillor McDonald. All in favor? All hands rising, motion's carried. Okay, next report.
So next we'll go over to the annual inspection report, which you believe you all have a copy of. What I'm going to do this evening is I'll present and speak about the non-compliance or non-conformance items. There's 8 of them. I'll give you an update on what the required actions are and what Aqua's doing and or have completed, and as well as the status. And you'll notice in this report that the inspection rating is not included. It's something that they're doing separately. There was a software upgrade and it resulted in them not being able to give that score that you would previously get. So that will be issued and sent in a separate document. I only note it because I don't look at these all the time anymore. And that was different because I kind of got used to going to look for that right away. So, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip right over to page 3 of 35. And this is where they list the non-compliance, non-conformance items. So I'm going to give a little bit of a bit of an explanation as to what they mean. It's long and there's lots of wording and sometimes hard to read through all of it. So, and I do welcome questions, of course. The first non-compliance or non-conformance item that was noted by the inspector had to do with logbooks. So what the inspector noted was there were 2 AWQI incidents, and AWQI means adverse water quality incidents that were not recorded in the logbook when they did the inspection. After the inspection was completed, prior to the report being issued, the logbooks, so operators in different areas will sometimes have like a notepad that they carry with them as they're working, because the main physical logbook is usually kept somewhere secure and safe at a water treatment plant. But as you know, you're out and about, you're walking around the plant, you've got a lot of things going on. You're not carrying the big logbook with you. So you'll make your notes in your personal logbook so that you can make the appropriate entries in the permanent record later on. And in this case, that's what happened. The personal logbook details were provided at the time of the inspection. So this non-compliance was now deemed complete. There was no, this was a paperwork type administrative infraction. So there was no incidents related back to the actual incident in operations from, and I believe this was 2021. On to the next one. And this one, this non-compliance is related to the municipal drinking water license. It requires that in the monthly summary report that alarms are listed for the UV, and that wasn't happening. So the actions that are required is that an SOP be created, which is a standard operating procedure that details the requirements of the municipal drinking water license, specifically around the monthly UV alarm report and what needs to be included. And that's been complete, that's been done. And then the monthly UV alarm report for each month of the inspection review period has to be done and then sent to the unsigned officer. And I believe there's one more month that they have to submit from the previous ones that's left to do. So they're just tidying that up, and that will be done by June the 1st. It was the requirement. The next non-compliance item that was noted had to do with a adverse water quality incident report that was issued by the township in December of 2020. So there was an incident in operations, water main repair. There was a boil water advisory put in place during the repair, which is standard because there's low pressure or no pressure in the distribution system. All the appropriate notifications were made and samples were taken, which is standard practice. One of the samples came back with a total coliform hit, which is also quite common. Sometimes I don't know the reason why, but sometimes it can be, even if you touch the edge of a sample bottle, you can sometimes get a hit on that kind of stuff. But nonetheless, it was resampled, came back clean, and then reported back in. So when you have an adverse water quality incident, that you report in, you have to complete paperwork and send it in. You also then have to complete paperwork once you've received the note for the notice of resolution. So once you've resolved the incident. And in this case, that was done with the sample, but what was missed was the notice of resolution for the original water main repair that was done, because likely, I would just be assuming, but likely because it was the same incident, but there was another notice of resolution required. So that was noted in the inspection, and that has been completed. The township has submitted the notice of resolution. So that's all done. The next item of non-compliance was around records confirming that UV sensor verifications had been completed by, as prescribed by Trojan UV. So the procedures are being performed, except for 1 month was noted there was no record. So notes were made within the logbook that the sensor check was completed, but the records, they're not there for that month. So I'm just going to read. Aqua will, what we're going to do is we'll ensure that the verification records are made and they're kept on file. So when you do calibrations by a third party, you get a certificate that tells you that it's being done. So if you don't get that, then it's as if it didn't happen, right? That's been completed. The next item is around trending. So I believe, yes. So trending is required, or reviewing your parameters of your facilities required at least once every 72 hours. And as well, you have to note what you're reviewing. So there's certain things that you have to make sure that you do that on. And in this case, it looks as though there was that was missed in a couple of incidents. So they've noted 5 incidents where it wasn't recorded. So Aqua will continue to complete. So the 72-hour reviews are always completed, but we'll ensure that they're documented properly. So the date and the time, and then it's within 72 hours, and exactly what it is that you're reviewing. You have to make sure that you note that. And also Aqua will provide the inspector with the logbooks from the previous, for the previous months. And this is scheduled to be done for June 2022. So they want a confirmation for that. The next item of non-compliance had to do with reporting minimum distribution chlorine residual. So, and I want to note here that in the inspector's comments, it's mentions 0.05, excuse me, but the actual was 0.5. So in this instance, records did not confirm that the equipment for secondary that provides chlorination or chloramination for secondary disinfection purposes was operated, so that we had this, but this right here, 0.05, it sounds like that was an error. So Aqua has resubmitted the whiskey, which is the software program that we use that collects all of that data, and the distribution residual round sheets for that time, and it shows the value of 0.5. So, and all of that data has been provided to the inspector. And again, that's why it's deemed marked completed. And then the last 3 non-compliances are all related around the same issues. So HAAs, THMs, and nitrate sampling is done quarterly, but it has to be done within a specific time period. So it has to be done more than 60 days, but less than 120 days. And in this case, in June of 2021, the samples were taken at 121 days. And unfortunately, that's 1 day over the sample period. So it's not within the 120 days. So there was none of the sample results that came back indicated that there were any issues with the drinking water, and all of the running averages are well below the Ontario drinking water standard. You can see right here, it's 80 and you're in and around 30s. So there's no concern. It's just that they missed it within that time frame. So some of these items, can seem, I think they can seem like, it's a bit of overkill, but that's the kind of thing that is really important. I think it's a good reminder to us all. It looks terrible in an inspection report, but it's a good reminder of why they have these things in place. And the ministry is good about providing like the reasons why they have these prescribed dates. Even if we're 1 day over, we're getting the reminder. They have these rules for the protection of residents. They have these things in place because that is what best practice has shown results in very diligent, safe drinking water for consumers, for municipalities and townships. And yeah, so it's good to be held accountable for stuff. And are there any questions about any of this?
Councillor Muir.
Yeah, Joanna, when's the next inspection report gonna be due?
Next year. So this just happened. This inspection was done in January 18th. And we got the report in April.
Okay, so yeah, during transition, yeah, so it's understandable. It's fairly lengthy with the transition and everything. Fully expect definitely next January reading report. It'll hopefully be 2 or 3 pages. That would be awesome.
Yeah, yes, I agree.
Do any other councillors have any questions? I do like the report that has all the questions in the back of it.
Yeah,
So if you're wondering what's going on. Obviously, it's a lot of paperwork, so I can understand missing deadlines, but I'm glad that there is a system in place, right, that makes everyone accountable, and you can always move forward, right, getting better.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, seeing no other questions. Can I have a mover and seconder for a motion to accept the MECP annual inspection report from Aqua for the Red Rock drinking water system? Councillor Muir, Councillor Tedesco. All in favor? All hands rising, motion's carried. Thank you very much, Joanna.
Thank you very much. Nice to see everyone. Have a good evening.
You too. Okay, the open and closed session minutes of the last regular meeting, May 2nd, are at items 5.1 of the agenda. Are there any errors or omissions to note in the minutes? Seeing none, can I have a mover and seconder for a motion to approve the minutes at items 5.1? Councillor McDonald. Councillor Muir. All in favor? All hands rising, motion's carried. Okay, correspondence. DSAB. This is information purposes only relating to an update from the DSAB board. Do any members of council have any questions? Seeing none. Okay, 6.2, information purposes only relating to the NOMA board meeting summary report. Do any members of council have any questions? Councillor Muir.
No questions, but just a comment. The amount of work that NOMA is doing for Northwestern Ontario is phenomenal. It's just awesome work they're doing. So reading that stuff, it just shows that we've got a bright future.
Okay, 6.3 is information purposes only relating to the NOMA strategic plan. Do any members of council have any questions? Okay, seeing none. The 2022 AMO conference. This is information purposes only relating to the conference. Any members of council have any questions? Seeing none. Okay, 6.5, information purposes only relating to the 2021 annual report from the DSAB board. Any members of council have any questions? DSAB's been busy. Seeing none. 6.6, information purposes only relating to the before and after school programs by the Superior North Catholic School Board. Do any members of council have any questions? So they did a survey and they didn't get much response, right? So it shows that only 3 people are looking for that service. So I don't believe it's a go, but they're going to keep trying.
There was a cost to these services, right? I think I remember when they did the survey. Just wondering if that had anything to do.
Okay, no comments, questions? Okay. 6.7, information purposes only relating to an update from the CP Rail with the 2022 spray schedule. Do any members of council have any questions? I do see that Red Rock's name is not on the list. I'm assuming we're under Nipigon.
Yeah, sorry, we are under Nipigon, so Nipigon covers that. I think it covers the district between Scriber and Red Rock. So I know, I think it was Councillor Muir was looking for an exact schedule, so that's what we got. So it looks like it's the 1st of July, and we are Nipigon district. Yes.
Councillor McDonald.
Sorry, June 11th, it says Nipigon Main Line. And then it says Thunder Bay Yard, July 1st. So wouldn't we be Nipigon Main Line?
Sorry, correct. Yeah, I just looked down quickly
Okay,
and saw
sorry.
Nipigon, but you are correct. It
Just
is there.
wanted to-
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
No other questions or comments? Okay, 6.8 is an update from the CEO for the Thunder Bay Crime Stoppers correspondence reviewed at the previous meeting. What do you have?
Yeah, just simply, I was directed to reach 2 Crime Stoppers to see exactly what they were looking for. If they had a kind of a chart for, I guess a grid for sponsorship. They don't. They're just looking for all the communities that they operate in to make a donation of any kind if they so desired. So it's wide open. It's at the discretion of council.
Councillor Tedesco.
I think we should be making some token contribution, $50, $75.
Councillor McDonald.
Do we have any like Crime Stoppers posters or any like how do they operate in our town?
Well, they are looking for board members, so they have shared me that, and that ad, we've shared it on our social media. But it's a good question. They really haven't done a lot of outreach into the communities. I guess they're really struggling through COVID. So we could definitely look into that as well, but they are definitely active within the North Shore communities. But could definitely reach out for posters or ads or that if need be.
Yeah, like I think we could do a donation, but then also ask for a little more info on that or more visual for the town.
Councillor Tedesco.
Mark, perhaps they could be invited to give a little bit of a presentation to our people here.
Yeah, certainly I can reach out to them. I do have a contact there now, so for sure.
Okay, do I have a mover and seconder for motion that council donate to the Thunder Bay Crime Stoppers in the amount of $75? Councillor Tedesco. Councillor McDonald. All in favor? All hands rising, motion's carried. Okay, next we have information purposes only relating to the nuclear waste in Northwestern Ontario from the We the Nuclear Free North. Do any members of council have any questions? Councillor Muir.
Yeah, so they had offered to give us an information session as well, because I was reading through the We the Nuclear Free North, and then the nuclear waste management was attached right underneath. So like the plan that for the waste. And I think when you scroll down onto page 3, it was in the transportation section, I think there needs to be some concern with regards to the transportation. Transporting nuclear waste. I mean, we see a lot of trucks in the ditch. I mean, I wouldn't mind hearing from that group and seeing what they have to say and having further discussion, if possible, if everyone's all right with that.
I do know that they have multiple online sessions. So maybe we can reach out to them to find out when the next one is. I don't believe they're going to every municipality. I think they're doing a lot of virtual, trying to get as many people, public and municipalities on board. So
Oh yeah, something virtual will work for sure. Just
Yeah,
just to ask direct questions, right?
Yeah, I can definitely reach out, and I think they'd be more than happy to come into the community. Why you're seeing hit a lot of agenda tables now is because they are getting very close to selecting the community. So you are seeing the transportation issue become a one of those topics that's discussed a lot, because they are down to 2 communities, with one being the Township of Ignace, which is right on our transportation route. So certainly can reach out, and I'm sure they'd be happy to address council.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Okay, next item, information purposes only relating to the planning framework from the Nuclear Waste Management Organization. Do any members of council have any questions? Councilor Mayor?
Yeah, just going through that too, it was, yeah, again, based on the information I read in that package, makes me kind of want to ask, some people with the boots right on the ground to see exactly what's going on. Cause yeah, it's like 2 pieces of puzzles here that and I've never done a puzzle before, right? So it's be nice to get some real information.
Again, I know they're having a lot of online sessions. I did participate a couple times last year. I haven't this year so far, but we'll look into that as well. Okay, next item, minutes from the Red Rock Public Library Board meeting, April 12th, 2022. Do any members of council have any questions? Seeing none. Can I have a mover and a seconder for a motion to receive the minutes? Councillor McDonald. Councillor Muir. All in favor? All hands rising, motion's carried. Okay, next item is a report from Director of Operations. Welcome, Blair.
Good evening.
Do any members of council have any questions? Mr. Westerman? Councillor Muir?
Hey, thanks, Blair. Just a quick question with the pumping stations with the HVAC service. Is there any concern about what is being removed through the pumping service? Are we finding things that shouldn't be in there, or can you make any comments on that?
Yeah, there is materials that we're finding commonly that we prefer not to see in there. The condition of the pumps are such that they're easily plugged now. The tolerances are, worn. So there is materials that we're finding quite commonly, and I think we've spoken to that in the past. So I won't go into detail as far as that's concerned. But yeah, it does help we're finding to get the HVAC done, to clean out the basin of the wet wells, to get some of those heavy materials out of there. So that's what we're doing as a precautionary measure.
Councillor Tedesco?
Blair, there's some planning, I think, for upgrading these 2 sites. Whereabouts is that now? Or do we still go with this limping pumps and things of that sort?
Hopefully we can get something moving here in the near future. It's in the hands of the engineers right now. I've given them as much detail as I can offer. And I haven't been in touch with them yet, but automation now has got the details for the wells.
What sort of timeline would you be thinking of? Like just very, very, like I know you're not the engineer.
Well, it's tied into the current wastewater project, and we know that needs to get wrapped up here shortly this spring. So I would think we're going to make a move here fairly soon.
Mhm. Good.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor Tedesco?
Blair, can you tell us what the situation is with regards to the backhoe? And I understand there's some concerns now with regards to the grader.
We do have some maintenance for the greater turntable. We do have somebody from Caterpillar coming to evaluate that. It's just the age of the machine, you know, it's wearing. So it's typical maintenance issue. The backhoe, I did speak with our sales rep from Grant recently. They don't really have an update as to used equipment. They did mention new tractors. There are already orders for new tractors already backed up into October. So that isn't something that we're currently looking at. I mean, a new machine. But
Blair, what kind of dollar figures are they talking about when it comes to backhoes?
brand new machines,
Yes.
you're looking around $200,000 mark.
Any other questions or comments on Blair's report? Seeing none, can I have a mover and seconder for a motion to approve the report? Councillor Tedesco, Councillor Muir, all in favor? All hands rising, motion's carried. Thanks, Blair. Next report is on administrative activity. Do any members of council have questions of Mr. Figlamini? Don't see any questions. I don't know if you want to discuss anything.
No, not really. Just an update on the direction of council for the Welcome Committee Street Fair. I know we want to get that advertising out, so there would be an in-kind donation from the township. So we were just looking to put that through council for direction.
Gord, can you speak to what you're looking for?
Yeah, for sure. So right now we've got our call out to the local businesses and organizations and artisans for June 18th, 1 to 5. We're looking for the main street, basically just having it blocked off right in front of the municipal office, just down a little ways past the Legion parking lot. Have it blocked off and the vendors will be in there. We've sent invites out to many people. Inside the facility of the Legion, they're going to have the bar is going to be open. We're going to have bands playing. I'm not sure what time yet. So far, I've only got 4 booked, but there's going to be bands, live music, and door prizes. So we're basically just looking for just the street. That's it. Block it off.
So you're looking for, I forget what they're called, to block up the streets, garbage cans, items like that?
Yeah, things of that nature. I think, yeah.
Councillor McDonald?
I think there was also talk about having a door prize, and that maybe the township could add in maybe like a gym membership or like a monthly, or, you know, like some type of something that could be added to the door prize basket or something.
I'm not
For
sure.
like a whole year membership.
I don't know if you need to send a letter in requesting that. No? Okay. Do we need to make a motion?
No,
to add that?
just simply direction that there's
Okay.
support for what we're doing here for the community. And
Okay, I support, well, any in-kind, obviously, that we need to provide to make it safe for the people that are attending, picnic tables if they need that. And if that's what you're looking for a donation from the
Yeah.
town.
Yeah, the facilities can be, the Legion's gonna be open, so the facilities, there'll be water and pop and stuff to purchase in there. It's mostly just picnic tables. We might need the stage. I don't know yet. We're probably gonna set up Live from the Rock has donated the sound system again, so we might set up outside. We've still got quite a bit of planning to do. We just kind of need the blessing to go ahead and keep doing it. So I mean, even if there is live music playing outside, I know everybody in Red Rock loves live music, so I don't know if a sound would be an issue for that weekend.
and we can bring something back for a like a door prize. So that's no problem. So we know we can move forward with this now.
1 year gym membership. We'll discuss that further.
What about assistance through some things such as photocopying, those kind of office services as in kind? Would that be something that would be useful for your folks?
Yeah, we just basically we've got social media, and then we've got the community bulletin boards. We're just asking that things could be put up in town. So there'd be a few spots that in town locally where we can have those put up. Jeff, that it could be color photocopy. That'd be a bonus.
Yeah, you can just reach out for that. We've got that direction. That's fine.
Okay, do you want to speak a little bit to the SCADA system for the
Yes.
water plant?
Yeah.
Since
So
that is a big deal.
that's an update. It'll tie into some of the questions that Councillor Muir had, but we are looking at, or we have been approved for the Scada upgrade system at the water plant as well, tied into our current wastewater project. Again, it's an upgrade to our facilities within the original scope, within the original funding scope. So that work is in progress right now as well. We're actually very close to having that completed. Unfortunately, and likely due to COVID, we're waiting on a small chip, similar to what you hear with the automobile manufacturers who are waiting on some electronics. So that piece will be tied in as well. To answer some of the deadline questions, they are tied into the project. We were able to get extension deadlines. What we are into is again that scope funding, right? So we're a little under budget in that project. So we are requesting scope changes to upgrade further infrastructure. So it's another good news story and a little bit of infrastructure that we will be able to update.
Can you mention what the price of this SCADA system is? What's it valued at?
I believe the Scada upgrade, Blair, was it was a couple $100,000, eh? I believe it was right in that ballpark. I could get an accurate number, but there's so many numbers that float through the project. I believe that one was around that 200,000, and we don't have a solid number on the lift stations yet, but I'm expecting that will be a significant amount of money as well. And what it does is it allows us to tie into the original funding without going back, say, a year later or 2 years later, when we know we have infrastructure issues and trying to tie them in that way. So it's a good way to tie it into the project.
Councillor Tedesco?
Mark, the upgrade to the SCADA system, is that going to assist with preventing some of the concerns that came up with regards to alarms and things being tripped? Like, is that going to help that out at all? I was asking Joanne earlier, and I guess kind of concerned that we do seem to have a number of alarm systems that go, and I was wondering whether it has something to do with the age of the water facility, because it is getting on. It's got to be about 35, 40 years old. And maybe this upgrade will affect it positively.
Well, I think, yeah, that's definitely why we're doing it. It will affect it positively. We're upgrading the system as it outdates. So I'm not exactly sure. Blair might have a better obvious description on the Scada if you wanted a further description, but my general answer would be it is upgrading our facility, upgrading the infrastructure in our facility. And if you wanted further, I'm sure Blair could give a further update as to what the additional benefits.
Any other questions or comments on Mark's report? Okay, can I have a mover and second for motion? Where am I? To approve the report. Councillor McDonald. Councillor Muir. All in favor? All hands rising, motion's carried. Okay, next 9.1 is a bylaw to delegate authority to the CAO clerk for emergency purchasing during the 2022 lame duck council period. Does council have any questions for administration? Councillor Tedesco.
Mark, could you explain what lame duck is for the public so that they'll understand what's being requested here?
Yeah, certainly. It's so it may or may not happen during an election cycle, but it has to do with the number of current elected officials that sit on council. So if, for example, when nomination period closes, which I believe is the 19th of August, I believe it is, if we don't have a certain number of councillors seeking re-election, then we would enter what they call a lame duck period where you can't make, there's certain decisions that council can't make in that period. There's also, that's one scenario. The other scenario would be after election day, if all members of council were not re-elected and we had a new group coming in, there's a small window where council is then not able to make those type of decisions. So it's very common practice. It's actually something that we do have to pass in an election year every year, where if we did have an emergency in the community, that responsibility falls on the CAO for a short period of time. I believe you have to have 3/4 of council, and there's many different scenarios that, like you said, I mean, you may or may not enter lame duck, but just to be prepared for the fact that you need to have a bylaw that enables to get you through that.
If you turn your mic on, it might squeal. That's okay. Is there a mover and seconder for motion to approve the bylaw? Councillor Muir, Councillor McDonald. All in favor? All hands rising, motion is carried. Okay, there is no new business. Items 11.1 to 11.3 are follow-ups of unfinished business from 2021. Do any members of the council have any questions? Seeing none. Next item is bylaw to confirm proceedings of council. Can I have a mover and seconder for motion to pass the bylaw? Councillor McDonald. Councillor Tedesco. All in favor? All hands rising, motion is carried. Time being 7:48. There's no other business to attend to. Meeting is adjourned.